Good afternoon, pet parents of Regina, or wherever you may be, joining us today live on our Furry Friday. What do you see in front of you here? Well, as the live post says, we are Bark to School this September. So we promised you guys that we were going to assess a variety of brands, some of the most commonly purchased brands in the world. And we're starting with these three that you see on your screen: Pedigree, Old Roy, and Kibbles and Bits. And we're starting with them for one of the biggest reasons right now is we talked about this a little bit last week with regards to the ingredient that the FDA has now determined is toxic and cannot be in pet food or treats, and that is titanium dioxide. Okay, so you guys, titanium dioxide is in two of these most commonly purchased brands out there. So now I am here. I always have been, you guys. I want to move this. And let me just tell you, I forgot my light, you guys, so I apologize if I'm dark. I put together some information with regards to these brands because we are going to assess them for you, right? We want to let you know what is in your pet's bowl. It hurt my heart. It hurt my heart to have to buy these foods. In fact, I felt compelled to tell the cashier, I am not feeding this to my dog. I am only buying these things to make a video, to make sure that more pet parents out there do not serve these foods. Stay away from these foods and get rid of these foods if they're in your cupboards. So, it hurt my heart, but I wanted to do this for you guys because I wanted to make sure that you guys always know what is in your pet's bowl, that we make sure that we are always providing the most healthiest food that we can. And it was funny because when I was talking to the cashier saying, oh my goodness, like I'm only buying this for a video. I am not feeding this to my dog. I would never feed this to my dog. I'm just buying it for a video. And she says, oh, that's an expensive video. But I didn't think it was, because I'll tell you guys, I bought all three of those bags of food for less than $20, including tax. That tells you something, right? I always say that with pet food, we get what we pay for. That saying has never been more true than when we're talking about pet food. We get what we pay for. And I bought 3 bags of food for less than $20, which included tax. Retail. Anyways, if you guys ever want to see how does your kibble stack up, we have on our website, and I've included that link in my description of this video, we have a link, what grade is my kibble? It's at the bottom of every single page of our website, and you can always go to the bottom of every page of our website, click on what grade is my kibble, and that is going to bring up our little handy dandy assessment of what grade is my kibble. So I used our assessment tool and I assessed all 3 of these brands. I also wanted to highlight a couple of things for you guys. So we will go through that. This very quickly. It looks intimidating. It's so totally not. You're going to sit down with your bag of food and you're just going to walk through the steps. Really simple. Step number 1, you're going to take a look at what is the first ingredient on there. And you can score anywhere from a 1 to a 10, depending on the first ingredient that's in your bag. And we want to see that that first ingredient is a named protein. Remember, we always talk about this, you guys. We want to see a named protein. We do not want to see a named meal, an unnamed protein, an unnamed meal, a named byproduct, an unnamed byproduct, or a non-meat ingredient. And if we do see any of these things, we start to score lower points. The overall total score, the best score you can get is 50. Okay. Then step number 2, we want to find the salt. Remember, we always talk about the salt. We talk about the salt and why the salt is important, because it is called the salt divider. Salt can only be 1% of the entire bag. So when, I was just looking at the front of these bags, none of these bags do that. But when those bags are out there and they've got all those big, beautiful, fresh fruits and vegetables on the front of the bag, we want to make sure that those fruits and vegetables are actually in that bag. And if, when we find the salt on our list of ingredients, if the fruits and vegetables are before the salt, remember, salt can only be 1% of the bag. If they're before the salt, that means there's actually some nutrition being provided by those fruits and vegetables. If they are after the salt, salt can only be 1% of the whole bag. If they are after the salt, we'd be lucky if there was a blueberry in a 40-pound bag of food. Okay, so that's why it's important to find the salt. And then what you're doing when you find the salt on your bag is figuring out, are your fruits and veggies before the salt, after the salt, or not in there at all? And that will determine your points. Okay, and sorry, you guys. Step number 3, how is that food preserved? Remember, we've talked about this a lot, especially when it comes to treats. We've talked about, you look for BHA and BHT and ethoxyquin, and if you see those ingredients in any of your treats, get rid of those treats, because those are literal toxins that are used in jet fuel. They are used in embalming fluids. They are used in pesticides. They are used to keep, I don't even have it up here anymore. I don't know where it went. Lipstick. Ethoxyquin, BHA, BHT, those are preservatives, synthetic preservatives, and they are used in lipstick to keep the lipstick from drying out. So we don't want to see that in our pet foods or treats, but we're talking about pet food today. If we see that a food is preserved with a BHA, a BHT, or an ethoxyquin, get rid of it, because that means that your animal is eating those toxic chemicals every day. All right, 4th step when we're assessing kibble, color. Are they coloring it? Remember, this is the same thing for treats. If you see blue dye number 2 or yellow dye number 4 or red dye number 30, I don't care what the numbers are. I always tell you guys, I don't care what the numbers are. As soon as you see dyes in your pet's food listed on those ingredients, that's paint, actual paint that they are using to make us think, oh, look at all the fruits and vegetables. There's no fruits and vegetables. It's paint. So if there's paint in there, we are not going to score good points, okay? And the final step is we want to determine the number of carbs. We always talk about this, you guys, the number of carbs. Ella, can you grab me the kibble and sugar? I wasn't prepared, you guys. We want to figure out the carbs. And so the calculation to figure out our carbs is in the assessment, and I have done that for all of the foods. But we want to make sure that the carbs are low, because our cats and dogs have no biological requirement for carbs. So the less they can eat carbs, and everybody knows there's a difference between kind of healthy carbs and bad starchy carbs, right? And typically in pet food, because we need starch to hold the kibble in its little pellets, we're getting the bad starchy carbs. Those carbs turn into sugar when the pets eat them, and sugar is what feeds disease. So as much as possible, we want to reduce or eliminate carbs as much as we can. So the lower the carbs are in the bag, the better it is for the animal. If we can reduce carbs entirely or eliminate them, that's even better. Okay, so hang on a second, you guys. I need... Guys, sorry, I didn't have my props ready. Okay, 3 cups of kibble. over 2 cups of sugar. That is how much sugar is in this particular kibble. Okay? 60%, 57%. So these are our carbs. This is why we talk about getting carbs out of the bowl. This is why we talk about finding a low carb, protein rich, nutrient dense food. Here's the other thing. When this is how much carbs is in the food, all of this is in your backyard. So we feed more because their body uses less, and then we clean up more. So when we feed a more nutrient dense, low carb, protein rich food, the animal's body uses more of that food and there's less waste in your backyard. Okay? So now, where's my first one? Here's the first one. Old Roy. Old Roy, you guys. Good old Roy. Sam Walton, owner of Walmart. His food is owned by Walmart, named after Sam Walton's dog, Old Roy, apparently was his name. And not only is it owned by Walmart, it is made by Mars Bar. Okay, whoop, owned by Walmart, Old Roy, owned by Walmart, made by Mars Bar. Here's the high-level recap of Old Roy. There are 9 controversial ingredients. That means we don't know exactly what damage they could cause, but they have potential to cause damage. There are 6 harmful ingredients in Old Roy. Old Roy. I always say old. Old Roy. There are 6 harmful ingredients in Old Roy. That means we know they cause damage to the animal or whoever is consuming these harmful ingredients. So 9 controversial, 6 harmful. And Old Roy has been recalled 53 times. 53 times. If that happened in a year, that would be 1 recall a week and 2 in one of those weeks. The unfortunate thing is, Old Roy is still one of the best selling dog foods in America. It hurts my heart, you guys. Okay. Here are Old Roy's ingredients. Oh, I'm going to put this against a piece of paper so you can actually see it better. Here's Old Roy's ingredients. Ground yellow corn, meat, and bone meal. What do we say? And by the way, you guys, I've kind of highlighted the biggest red flags. In my opinion, this is all a red flag. But I've highlighted the biggest red flags that really cause us to pause. And we have talked about this before. Meat and bone meal. Awesome. Meat and bone from what? From who? We have no idea what the source animal is. Remember when I talked about that if they do not identify the source animal to see that it is pasture-raised lamb or grass-fed beef or wild-caught salmon, if they do not identify where this meat and bone is coming from, it could be dead zoo animals, it could be roadkill, it could be euthanized pets, it could be 4D meat, 4D, not 3D, 4D, which means diseased, dying, disabled, or disformed. So that means a cow dropped dead in a farmer's field and his insides were eating him from the inside out and the farmer has no idea, but good enough for the pet food. We have no idea where that meat or bone comes from. So that's a big red flag. Poultry byproduct meal. Remember what byproducts are, you guys. Byproducts mean not consumable by humans, but feed it to the animals. I disagree. Animal fat. We don't know what the animal is. Preserved with BHA. Remember, BHA, BHT, ethoxyquin. We don't want to feed that to our pets. Brewer's rice, which is just more grain, corn, wheat grain, the kind that they can't process. What I've circled here is salt. Okay, so that's where the salt is. And by the way, fruits and vegetables that we want to see before salt do not include corn or potatoes. So if you see corn or potatoes before your salt, those are not the fruits and veggies that we're looking for. Those are starch fillers, okay? Titanium dioxide, now considered illegal because we know exactly what kind of harm it can do to the animals that eat it. Yellow number 5, yellow number 6, red number 40, blue number 2, paint. That's what we've got in Old Roy there. We got lots of paint. And then also menodiene sodium bisphosphate complex. That's a big, long group of words for synthetic vitamin K, also known to cause organ damage in our animals. And they're proud to put it on their ingredients. So that's Old Roy's ingredients. Now, when I take a look at the bag and I go through our Kibble Assessment, here is what we come out with, you guys. First ingredient, corn. So they score 1 point out of a possible 10. I found the salt. Oh, I'm backwards here. I found the salt, and there are actually no fruits and vegetables in their food at all. So they scored a point. I think we were being generous in those points. That's out of 10 as well. Preserved with what? Well, we read that it was preserved with BHA and citric acid. They get 0 points for preserving foods with those synthetic toxin chemicals that kill animals. Is it colored? You bet it is. It gets a great big old check mark for that because they've got paint in that bag. They get 0 points for that. And how many carbs? 57%. So 57%, over half of everything that we put in that bowl. Okay, there's our 57%. Over half of everything that we put in that bowl, our animals' bodies don't even use, turns to sugar, feeds disease, is in your backyard, and you're going to feed that much more because their bodies don't use it. Okay, so in our rating, Old Roy scored a total of 2 points out of a possible 50 for a final grade of an F. Change your stuff, Old Roy. Change your stuff. Because I will keep giving you Fs. Here's the thing, you guys. Our grading of the kibble goes from A to F. A being the best, B, C, D, F. B's and C's may have cut it in high school when we're talking about history classes, but they do not cut it when we're talking about the food that we feed our animals every single day. So when you grade your kibble, the only grade you want to see is an A. That is the best score that you can get. That means that that manufacturer is doing all the right things to ensure that they're providing a quality meal and not just roaming around putting scraps of diseased carcasses into a vat somewhere and painting it to make you think it's food. Because when they do that, they get Fs. Okay? Next head on the chopping block. Kibbles and bits, you guys. Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. They had good marketing, but that's about all they had. I'm going to tell you a little story, too. We have had a pesky fly. I have tried naming him. He's been in the store for about 2 weeks now. We cannot get rid of this fly. Apparently, we're not the only ones having issues with flies. It's that time of season. But we decided we were going to catch the fly with some kibbles and bits. And the fly wouldn't even eat it. You guys, flies eat poop. But they would not, he would not eat the kibbles and bits. We couldn't catch him with the kibbles and bits. I'm going to tell you why. That fly is probably smarter than I gave him credit for. So, kibbles and bits. Made by Smuckers, the J.M. Smucker Company. Thought they made jam, but yeah, they make Kibbles and Bits as well. Kibbles and Bits has 14 controversial ingredients, meaning that we are not sure of the damage it could cause, but we're pretty sure that it can. Kibbles and Bits has 11 harmful ingredients, meaning we know it will harm the animals that eat it. Kibbles and Bits also contains the titanium dioxide, now illegal to be used in pet foods. And it has been recalled 39 times. What's Kibbles and Bits' big claim to fame? They're available everywhere. And they are. They're available in grocery stores, they're available in big box stores, they're available in drug marts, they're available in dollar stores. Kibbles and Bits is everywhere. Kibbles and Bits. Actually, you guys, this is Kibbles and Bits. This is 3 cups of Kibbles and Bits. This is the carbs. This is the sugar in Kibbles and Bits. I'll tell you too, when I was confessing my sins to the cashier when I was buying the food today and saying, believe me, I'm not feeding my animal. She says, well, you know, my kitty eats those treats that you shake. What are they called? I said, Temptations. And she said, yeah, loves them. And I pointed to McDonald's and I said, kids love McDonald's too, but we don't feed that to them every day. So of course they love it. There's this much sugar, right? When over half of what they're eating is sugar, and though they're not supposed to eat sugar, they can develop a sugar addiction. Well, of course they love it. They're addicted to the sugar. They don't necessarily love it. They're addicted to the sugar. All right, you guys. Let's break down the ingredients of Kibbles and Bits. Oh, surprise, surprise. Corn. Soybean meal. Every carnivore out there, I'm sure, is just licking their lips to get their lips on some soybean meal. Beef and bone meal. So somebody's going to say, well, they said it was beef. Bone? We still don't know where the bone is coming from. So to put that together, beef and bone meal, that means it is a combination of some sort of beef and whose ever bones are in that mixture ground into a powder. Ground wheat, you guys. They don't eat wheat. Animal fat, and again with some tasty BHA used as preservatives to preserve that animal fat and prevent it from hardening or rotting. Animal fat, we don't know what the animal is, we have no idea where it's coming from, and BHA we know will cause issues. Corn syrup, that's more sugar, that's awesome. Animal digest, that means the contents of some animal's stomach. We don't know whose or what animal. I found the salt, you guys. I found the salt. I still have yet to find a vegetable anywhere. No vegetables. They got a caramel color, and then they've got some more colors at the bottom. But first, let us not forget about the titanium dioxide, now illegal by the FDA. Can't be using this in food or anything that our animals are eating. And then yellow 5, red 40, yellow 6. Oh, and some more BHA just for good measure to preserve the contents of some animal's stomach that we're unaware of who they are or what they were. Kibbles and Bits, you guys. Okay. So let's break this down again. This is going to look very familiar because it looks very much just like Old Roy. First ingredient, corn, 1 point out of 10. We found the salt. We found no fruits or veggies, 1 point. It is preserved with BHA, citric acid. They're getting 0 points for that because they are like absolutely literally putting toxic chemicals into food that they are then wanting dogs to eat. Is it colored? You bet it is. It's got a bunch of paint in there, so they get 0 points for that. And how many carbs? They were one less. One less. 56% carbs. 56% sugar. There we go. And so can you guess what they got? Can you guess what their final total score was out of 50? And their grade, same as old Roy. They get 2 points out of 50, and they get a final grade of an F. And rightly so, as they continue to poison animals around the world with BHA and paint and all the good things. That is total sarcasm for any Sheldons out there, okay? All right, you guys, last up today on the chopping block, Pedigree. One of the most purchased foods on Amazon and one of the most purchased foods around the world. Pedigree. They're huge. They're huge. They are also made by Mars Bar. Okay? Mars, like literally the chocolate bars, the guys who make the scrumptious chocolate bars that we enjoy occasionally. They also make Pedigree. They also make Royal Canin's veterinary food. Just like Colgate-Palmolive makes Hill's veterinary food. We will get into those as well, you guys. So Pedigree, at a high level, 27 controversial ingredients. I don't know where to move my fingers. 27 controversial ingredients in Pedigree. 9 harmful ingredients in Pedigree. And 26 product recalls. One of the most purchased foods on Amazon, one of the most purchased foods around the world. Pedigree. My heart is still hurting, you guys. So let's take a look at the wonder that makes Pedigree. Surprise, surprise, we've got more corn. Ground yellow corn. Chicken byproduct meal. Chicken byproduct, remember, not good enough for us to eat. Feed it to the animals. Brewer's rice, ground whole wheat, corn gluten meal. Essentially, you guys, those are pretty much almost all the same thing, just more filler. Animal fat, preserved with BHA and citric acid. Surprise, surprise, more toxic stuff. Plain dried beet pulp. Vegetable oil. These are not things we want in our pet food. I found the salt. And now remember, you guys, 1%. 1% of this bag is salt. So that means everything after that is less than 1%. And the farther down the list it gets, the smaller it gets. And way down here, I literally found dried vegetables, some peas and carrots. Some dried peas and carrots, which are like, what, the 7th thing from the end of the list? It's like a carrot shaving in there. Oh, and yum! Just for some more added health and benefit, we've got some more colors: yellow number 6, yellow number 5, and blue number 2. That's what makes Pedigree so wonderful that so many people have to buy it around the world. Okay, you guys, so when we assess Pedigree, and these are out of 10, just remember that our first ingredient, corn, they get 1 point. I don't know that they should, but they did. Find the salt. We had some, remember, some little tiny dried vegetables after the salt, so they got a whopping 5 points for that out of 10. I don't know. I disagree with that. I disagree with how far it was down the list, but this is what we're assessing. Okay, you guys. Preserved with BHA and citric acid, they get a 0. Is it colored? Yes, it is. They get a 0. And how many carbs? They are the same as Old Roy at 57% carbs. Well done, Pedigree. So, out of 50 points, Pedigree got a total of 6. Because they put a couple flakes of carrots and dried peas into a bag at the last minute, and a final grade of an F. It makes me so, you guys, it never used to make me mad to see pet food commercials, because I used to just like, that I got to see furry faces. And now I see these commercials and they tell us how wonderful this food is for our animals and how healthy they'll be and how good it is for them and all of the things. And I'm like so mad when I see these commercials. Anyways, you guys, we, as you know, are on a mission to extend the lives of pets through nutrition. And we want to do that by helping as many pet parents know for a fact what's in their bowl and find ways that everybody can feed their animal healthy. We want to be respectful of everybody's choices and their budget. We are always here to help. So we've got something going on this month. As you guys know, Dr. Becker and Rodney Habib's new book, The Forever Dog, is set to launch in October of this year. I am super pumped. It talks about not only nutrition, but it takes into consideration everything that we can do to help our furry guys. Whether it's exercise or mental stimulation or stressors in the house or chemicals we might use or products we might use, they cover it all. And not only do they cover it all, but then they give us ways to make it better. And this book will be the Bible of pet ownership. It will only be a matter of time. So we have them coming to store as soon as they're out. We have our pre-order on now. But what we're also going to do for the month of September, anybody who, in the comments, you drop a brand that you would like us to look at, that you would like us to assess, we will go through the same things that we did with these ones. And now, of course, we're going to do as many as we can. And we already have some from what we shared in our Nutrition Month in March. But I wanted to do those most popular brands out there first, and especially because of the titanium dioxide. That means we might be doing Hills next because they also use titanium dioxide. But if you have a brand that you want us to look at, to assess, and we're gonna, this is our Furry Friday for September, you guys. We are going to assess all of the brands that we can. And the only reason that we did it like this today, that I'm doing on the papers and all the things, is because we were a little bit busy out front and we couldn't do it out front. So I'm back here in the office. Drop your brand in the comment, and everybody who drops their brands in the comments is going to be entered to win their very own copy of the Forever Dog. So you drop your brands in the comments. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on the replay, you guys. Drop those brands in there. We will go back and take a look at what brands people really want to take a look at and what they want to see us do. You can always go to our website and assess your own kibble. You do not have to wait for us. But if you'd like us to take a look at the brand, drop it in the comment, and then you're going to be put into a draw to win your very own copy of the brand new book, The Forever Dog. Okay? I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys have a fantastic long weekend. Ooh, it is a long weekend, you guys. Sunday, go Riders. Monday, we are closed for the holiday. You guys probably out at the lake, take some time and enjoy and rest. But we are here today and tomorrow. We're doing nail trims tomorrow. Pedicures with the marvelous Matthew. He will be here from 11 until 5. So $12 nail trims, $16 Dremels. 11 till 5 tomorrow, then of course closed Sunday and closed Monday for the holiday, back in the store on Tuesday. Drop those brands, you guys, and everybody who does, we're going to put you in a draw so that you can try to win your very own Forever Dog copy. All right, you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you in the store, or we will see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.